Welcome, welcome to another episode of Ask Infinity. My name is Jordan Lindo, your host. As per usual, today's Infinity is Sergio. Now, Sergio, we kind of just connected, and so I'm getting to know a little bit more about you. You're a very interesting person. And so I want you to really quickly just tell us what it is that you do and what keeps you busy. What is it that you're investing your time and energy into right now?
Sure. So I'm Sergio, and I am a government employee, 9 to 5er, kind of transition into entrepreneurship. And my access was financial services, right? I was drawn into trading, investing, but financial services, because I didn't have a fancy degree or anything, was kind of my gateway to the world of finance and also entrepreneurship. So I'm a financial advisor, trader, and investor. And I also do like a little bit of consulting / operations work for a family business that we have. It's a recruiting agency. I kind of work from home for the most part. I'm very mobile. I was just telling you before we recorded, I value experiences and traveling to different places and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of the world of it. And all of that has allowed me to have this kind of flexible lifestyle, so to speak, where I kind of mold my day and how I want and kind of enjoy myself, you know?
Yeah, I'm so happy you said that, because there's a lot reflecting back from my own experience and what you just said. I think, and I'm curious, for me, that's part of the reason why I started day trading, because I wanted to create that flexibility to be able to move around and work from anywhere. So I'm curious, how does your work life situation look like right now? Like how many hours are you working, and how are you playing with, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, okay, mornings are sacred, right? So anytime between, call it 6:30 to 11:30, that's a time when I'm reading news, looking at the charts, getting a feel for what's happening in the economy. So that's when I'm studying, I'm on the computer, right? Typically, hopefully I've exercised before that. Sometimes I don't. Hopefully I've meditated. Sometimes I don't. But I'm up early and I'm getting a feel for what's happening in the world. Okay. Then between, like, call it 11:30 and 1:30, I'm cleaning up. I'm making lunch. I'm preparing myself to feed myself for the next chunk of my day. And call it from 1 till 3, 1 till 4, I'm connecting with people, I'm creating content, I'm prospecting for my financial services business. Maybe I'm talking to other partners about potential trade opportunities or what they're thinking about in the markets, right? So that's kind of the afternoon. And then evening, it's like we'll go outside, we'll go play golf, we'll go for a run, like something outside typically, right? And then it's dinner time. And if after dinner I have meetings or Zoom calls, I'll do those. If I have meetings, let's say throughout the week, I will block off that afternoon where I'm prospecting or creating content. And, I'll be doing Zoom meetings or, filling out applications, guiding people, looking at people's cash flows and making recommendations and administration work. And I'm training an administrator to kind of outsource something. So that, it's a flavor of stuff, let's call it, in the afternoon. Okay.
Yeah. I'm so impressed by the level of balance that you've been able to cultivate into your day, because, and maybe it's because I'm only 3 years into day trading. To me, I'm still a baby. And so I haven't figured out how to do all that. For me, it's like probably 70% of my day is spent in front of a computer screen, and 50% of that is looking at charts or something chart related, like technical analysis or something. But from what I'm getting from you, it's like you have all these things kind of, at least the structure is there, right? But I want to ask you something, even I feel like that is more important. Why did you get into the financial sector? Like, what was the motive behind that?
I want to make money, and I want to have fun doing it, and I want to help people at the same time. Okay.
Okay.
Making money. Why do I say it's fun?
Yeah.
I find like the markets, it's a game, it's a puzzle, it's a intellectual pursuit that is ever ongoing. It's attractive to me,
Yeah.
right? And I want to be rewarded if I can do well in that. I think there's merit in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. At the same token, there's a lot of people in the world of personal finances, right? So households that just don't understand how the economics work, how money works, like they don't understand why the price of homes go up or why their wages are stagnant or why the cost of stuff is going up and their wages aren't, right? Like I found there was a problem there. Like we weren't taught this stuff, right? So I think it was the flavor of all that stuff that just had me want to pursue that and get into it. It's like, it's a fun way to make money. It's potentially could be a good career, good business, and people would benefit from this information.
Okay, I wanna ask you something, because this is something I was watching a podcast yesterday actually, and it came up, and I'm gonna start asking traders this question because I want to know how they resonate with this. But it was an impact theory podcast episode. I can't remember who his guest was, but his guest was saying, and this is a stat we all pretty much know about, something like, I don't know, 5 or 10% of day traders actually beat the buy and hold strategy. What do you feel like? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you're one of those traders that is either beating that strategy or on the way to beating that strategy? Or like, if you were to give advice, I know this isn't an advice, we're not giving advice out here, people. Okay, follow your own financial advisors.
We're having fun.
It's not an advice show. This is strictly entertainment. But if you were, let's say you ran into me in the street and we just met, would you advise me to day trade if that was something I like to do? Or would you advise me to buy and hold, or would there be a combination?
Yeah, it's such a good question, man. And I'll tell you how I started. I started just jumping into day trading. I thought day trading was the way to make money. Like I was looking for a quick fix. I had a money issue that I wanted to deal with, and it was day trading that was going to fix that issue. The truth is I had bought some stocks. Like I was swing trading stocks back when I was first learning in like 2013, 2014, 2012, around that time frame. And I was swing trading. So I was going in and out, and I was swing trading stocks like Nvidia, Tesla, Advanced Micro Devices, Shopify, I don't know, a bunch of others like iRobot, some solar company, whatever. And what I got is, hey, if I just didn't do that, if I just bought those things and forgot about those things, I'd be a lot wealthier today than if I had not done what I'd done, which was try to go in and out, swing trade. I'm going to try to make 10% here for this week, make another 10% next week, like that kind of stuff, right? So I wouldn't advise, like if someone wants to be a day trader, should you put all your capital into day trading when you're first starting out? No. I think even for me, like I feel good knowing that the majority of my trading capital is actually outside of trading, where trading is kind of this thing on top of this foundation that I believe I have in real estate, my retirement account, like a crypto portfolio that's long-term hold. Like with that foundation and income, various sources of income, like I was telling you about Airbnb, a little bit of consulting, trading, with various sources of income, then focus on your day trading or that thing that could generate extra alpha or extra returns, but not needing those returns to build your wealth or to achieve the goal of financial freedom.
Got you. You tapped on something that I want to kind of dive more deeply into. Now, do you feel, I want to ask this question in a way that doesn't get me in trouble. Okay. Without giving us specific numbers, because I don't need to hear the numbers. I'm just curious to know what percent of your investments are where. So like, are you like 50% of your investments are in real estate? Like how do you break it down? I just want to get an idea of what a balanced portfolio could potentially look like. And so, answer to the best of your ability.
Yeah, sure. And I think before I give an answer, I think people should give in mind like my work situation, like how I earn an income. right? I have a corporation. The way I earn income is very different than how someone who is, working for a T4 9 to 5 employee would generate an income. Okay, so
Yeah.
that context needs to be there, because I think there's appropriate strategies depending on how you generate your income and what your values are, and essentially, okay. But for me, I'm more entrepreneurial, so I'm more like lower income on, to be honest, it's lower income and expenses kind of eat that up or whatever. So I'm not really putting a lot of resources into like an RSP or a TFSA. Okay. With that said, I do have a retirement account. It's a locked-in retirement account, and it's about 15% of my overall portfolio. And it's just in a basket of funds. It's global diversification, a little bit of emerging markets, United States. And that is just, it's just there. I'm not going to touch it. Maybe I'll move it around a little bit, but for the most part, that's just there. Okay. That's about 15%. Investable real estate and personal real estate, I'd say it's about 50%, so half of 100, right? That's in cash flowing real estate and my principal residence and like another property.
Yeah, investment property.
Yeah. And then I have maybe another 30% in cryptocurrency. Okay. Bitcoin for the most part, right? Just because I feel like on a risk adjusted basis, it's just going to do the best over a long period of time, right? So for me, it's like, I don't want things too crazy, but I want growth. I think Bitcoin's going to do that. And then, the other 15, 20%-ish is in things like actively managed accounts, like, Forex, cryptocurrency, Binance, things like that, to take advantage of more short-term plays.
Okay, so are you more weighted into real estate because it's giving you the return, or like what's the morale behind that?
Just lack of education. Just what I started with. Like the idea was, okay, I need to get debt and I need to get an asset, and real estate has good tax advantages and it's probably going to go up in value and it's probably not going to crash. And other investors will be like, okay, real estate's safe and it provides an income potentially. I think that's why. If I could go back in time, if I knew what I knew now back then when I started that portfolio,
yeah,
I probably would have done things a little bit differently. But it is what it is.
Well, what would you have done differently? Like, how would you have reinvested that money?
I would have put more of my capital into growth, like tech, like monopoly style tech.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would have looked, okay, what's eating everything, right? What are the industries that are just buying out companies and doing takeovers, and the stocks aren't, so that's Facebook, that's Amazon, that's Netflix, that's Google. I would have bought those, put more money into that instead of going into real estate. And I would have been more aggressive on cryptocurrency. I didn't understand it. I found out about it in 2013, but I just didn't get it. Like, I just didn't understand why that would be valuable, or why people would get behind this. And that opinion now is very different. My opinion now is very different than the opinion I had back then. So maybe I do like 25% real estate instead of 50, and then literally up the crypto and growth tech allocation. If I understood monetary policy and all that stuff, which I didn't back in 2013, 20. When I was swing trading those stocks, I didn't understand what monetary policy is, or what quantitative easing was after 2008. I didn't know what the shit was,
Oh, so, man, you're getting my mind to go into so many different directions, man. You know what? Okay, let me ask this. What is, and I don't know if you have the answer, but I have a feeling that you might know more than I do. What is the real rate of inflation?
It depends what you measure, right? Like, the thing is the CPI basket, right? So the thing that most people refer to as inflation, because it's the number that StatsCan is putting out and the Fed puts out and whatever, right? That number's kept low. It's low. It's 2%, 1.5%, maybe 3% if things are really going crazy. But because how that basket's calculated, the number stays relatively low, so we don't have any inflation. Okay. But you and I both know that if we start measuring other things like real estate or stocks or certain types of education or I don't know, commodities, right? Like utility, like if we start measuring some of that stuff, if the basket got more inclusive, I think like the rate of inflation was like 13% or 15%.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy because I was talking to someone, and I guess it depends on what level your knowledge is at, but why do they put out that 2%? Is that to kind of keep people in a calm state of mind, or because it's like it's just to me so obvious that the rate of true inflation is not 2%. It's just so odd. Like you have to obviously calculate everything. You can't just look at the number that they're putting out and agree with it. You have to look at what is actually affecting my life and what is affecting the global market.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm so happy you brought that to my attention.
It's a good question, dude. It's something people ought to think about, right? Because if you start hearing reports 2%, 3%, but in your day-to-day life, or when you're shopping for a home, or you're going to try to rent a place in Toronto, or even out west now, right? Like, you're telling me that you don't see inflation. You're telling me when you go to the grocery store, you want to buy a steak. And I know people shouldn't be eating meat nowadays, but you want to buy a steak and it's, 40, $50. Like there's no inflation, right? So it's kind of, or there's very little inflation where you're not supposed to notice it, right? So something people ought to pay attention to. And it's made boring so people don't pay attention to.
That's what I was trying to get to. I feel like they purposely make these things mundane so that people just don't want to get into it. But it's like, to me, it's interesting, to be honest, regardless of how they try to project it out in a boring way. It's just, to me, so interesting. There's a question I was going to ask and it slipped my mind.
Well, maybe a public service announcement. I think if anyone cares about their money, like if anyone genuinely cares about bettering their money situation, or understanding how all this works, then you ought to be interested in inflation. Like that's something you should be very interested in.
Well, that's actually a good point. And we talked about this briefly, but I just want to ask you on the podcast, how much of our financial literacy should we take into our own hands? How much do you think?
I think enough to understand how the purchasing power of currency goes up or down based on what governments are talking about, based on policy. I think being able to have that basic understanding of what that means for your finances. And then like understanding the different risk profiles of different investments. I think you should get what growth is. You should get what utilities are, bonds, like very basic stuff. And then I think if you have those basics, you can work really effectively with a financial advisor or a portfolio manager or someone else who that's all they do. And that's all their focus. But at least you're now in a conversation with them where you can ask good questions and get a vibe of like, okay, this person know what they're talking about. When this person says this about this type of investment, does it make sense to me? Like, did I actually understand what he meant? Or did he speak in some jargon where I didn't understand and I should ask the question about this jargon? Right? I think it helps. Like, it's like your health, right? It's like the more you know about your own body, the more effective you're going to be in a conversation with your doctor, right?
Thank you.
It's the same thing.
Thank you for bridging that, because I wanted to like have a adjacent concept so that people could really understand what we're getting at here. But it's like, if your doctor comes to you and he's throwing all these technical and medical terms at you, you're just going to do one of these. But if you understand like if you have a basic level of knowledge, then you can say, okay, well, can we try this? Or can we try this? Especially if you understand, what do you call it there? Holistic medicine, right? Then you can broaden the conversation. So I 100% agree with you. I think that, to me, money is the most important thing on the planet, right? We're not talking about love, obviously. We're not going to bring that. That's a different thing. But in terms of just interacting on a day-to-day basis, you need money. Money is everything. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to have a minimal level of understanding of how it works and what it is that you need from it so you can accomplish your goals. Like, to me, it's like, I personally feel like we should all, like, everybody should have a certain level of understanding, you know?
Money, I don't think people look at money as a technology.
Mm.
People look at money as this thing that is bestowed down upon them from the higher powers.
Yeah.
You know, it's this thing that's sprinkled down from the higher powers, and you don't know where it's coming from. But when you look at it, and when you dig deeper, you can get that, no, wait a minute, money was a technology that was able to advance civilization, bring order, to calculate statistics, keeping track of what's what, keeping track of who owes who. And over time, it's more advanced. We just grew up in an era where we weren't privy to that knowledge. That was for the elite. It was for the people who wrote the rules. It was for people who belonged to certain families or lived in certain cities, right?
Yeah.
But when you get that money as a technology, it's like, dude, don't you want your kid to know how to use a computer? If you have a kid, would you want him to learn how to use the computer and the internet and all that stuff?
Yep, definitely. It's a no-brainer. I got another question for you. So where do you think, because this is something I'm so happy I have you to kind of throw these ideas back and forth, because it's been a while since I was able to really talk about these types of things. What do you think is going to happen with, you can speak on the American dollar, or you can speak on the North American dollar, Canada, but what do you think is going to happen in terms of the dollar in relationship to the money printing that's happening? Do you think we're going into inflation, hyperinflation? What do you think is happening?
That's a good question, right? And like, the reason why you've been asking that question is because you have a basic understanding of economics. At least you can ask good questions. I don't think I have a clear answer for you. Okay, I think US dollar is still the global reserve currency. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it losing its dominance over time? Yes, probably, most likely. Okay. Is it still the currency that people are going to flee to when there's fear or war or health scares or financial shocks? Yeah, it's still the currency people are going to go to, right? So, I think in the short term, I'm kind of bullish DXY, but over a long term, as emerging markets become more impactful, they pick up, China becomes more dominant, across the globe or whatever. Maybe, yeah, we'll see the DXY or the US dollar weakening over time.
Okay. So
it just looks like that's the trend. That the trend looks like it's on its way down. And
so long-term bearish on the DXY.
Long-term bearish from
potentially,
right? Like, I saw there was a double bottom that I see right now in the DXY. I think I was telling people in May to buy the dollar and maybe stop buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Put a double bottom. We still haven't broken out from the neckline. And I know we're talking technical analysis, but it hasn't actually broken out yet. And it looks like we're about to break out, right? So short term, we can get dollar strength, but long-term monetary policy, I think the world needs a weak dollar for the world to be groovy and gravy right now. So I think ultimately weaker dollar.
I'm just trying to pull up the chart since you said that.
Pull up the chart, and if you could share your screen, that'd be awesome too. If you could show.
Oh, you know what? I'm pulling it up on. You know what? I should be able to do that if I open it on my app here. That's not a bad idea. Let me just close any apps that could be embarrassing.
Yeah. Make sure your privacy's in check. Make sure your privacy's in check.
Exactly. So chart plus DXY is at the top. Beauty. DXY. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna pull up the weekly chart so we can get a long-term. I see what you're talking about now. We're looking at a W pattern here. Okay, more.
And all patterns break out. All patterns have that level where it confirms the pattern and you have a breakout.
Okay. Okay, here we go. So right now it's sharing my screen. Tell me if you can see this. Are you able to see that?
I can see that.
Okay, so beautiful. So this is what I'm assuming you're talking about. Let me see if I can pull up any markings to make this easier. I will be looking at, oh my goodness, we're ready to go. We're ready to rock.
I
So
think
let
it's
me
ready
ask
to.
you this. This is going to be technical, so people watching or listening may not vibe with this part of the conversation, but we're just looking at a chart and this we're just going to nerd out for the next 2-3 minutes. So if you can bear with us.
Jordan, can I just say something to those people who are going to get bored here? Another PSA. Okay, if you're serious, if people are interested in becoming investors or managing their own money to some degree, eventually you're going to have to pull up a chart and get comfortable looking at charts. Okay, I'm just saying.
Thank you. That is so important. You know what? Actually, I should pull up a fib here. This would be a nice little spot for a fib. So you're bullish, and it makes perfect sense because, well, if it's bullish, what would that mean for the crypto market?
Well, I think it would depend on the severity of the move, okay? Because what we saw was earlier, we saw Bitcoin going down, right? When Bitcoin went from 65 to 30, call it.
Yeah.
The DXY was kind of sideways. Like the DXY wasn't really responding. And this past 2 weeks where Bitcoin bottomed from 30 and hit 47,000, we saw the DXY strengthen, but it was mostly against the currencies, other currencies, against gold, right? Actually, no, gold was moving with crypto. So, I think we could see this dollar break out and we can see Bitcoin actually go sideways.
Okay.
Or we could have a shallow retracement, or we could have a deep retracement. What I'm saying is I don't think there's like a 100% correlation, a 100% negative correlation at all times with these assets.
And that's really what I was getting at. So thank you for bringing it there. So real quickly, I just threw up 2 fibs. Pardon the overlap. I'm still getting used to using this on the app. I always do technical analysis on my desktop. So it's interesting to learn this on the mobile, but this is making a lot of sense. Like I'm looking at the fib even, and we have a nice 618 retracement at the 96 level. Like that's perfect.
Yeah.
This is looking juicy. You might actually just inspire to trade with me. Like I wasn't even looking at this.
Well, I'm glad I brought your attention to it. And there's a lot of things like where your fib is. I'll just tell you this, dude. Where your Fibonacci extension is, there's a whole other slew of technical indicators that could tell you that could be the target. Okay, I don't think we need to go into them now, but just know that there's other things that are going to be mounted on top of that fib extension that you have there. Okay?
Yeah.
There's some long-term moving averages there. There's the take profit for the double bottom is there. Like when you measure a double bottom and you do the take profit using the neckline.
Yeah.
You'll see that line up, right?
Oh, that's right. I might be able to do that right now, actually. The measured move is from the neckline to the bottom of the move, right?
Yeah, so you would measure the height of the pattern. Yeah. And then replicate that height on top of your yellow line, which is also the neckline. Yeah, exactly. And then you're going to copy that, take that to your horizontal. There you go. Right? And there you go. Just slightly higher than the 618 Fibonacci extension. But
so and this is simple stuff, guys. Like I want people to understand, like understanding the basics of finance is not like rocket science. You just need to sit with it, maybe learn 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, and you'll have enough to make, to make wise financial decisions, even if it means giving your money to someone like Sergio to invest. I'm going to take this off now. Okay, here we go. Even if it means, even if it means giving your money to someone like Sergio to invest, because it's like, yeah, it's nice. Here, Sergio, take my money, invest. But it's like, you don't know what Sergio is going to do, right? You want to be able to go, okay, at least he has an understanding and a knowledge of what is happening in the market, where the market could potentially go in both directions, right? Market could be bearish, could be bullish. You never know. Market could do anything. So like, these are things you need to know as someone who wants to be empowered with their financial future. And like you guys just saw, it took me 2 seconds. You just have to have the knowledge, but it took me 2 seconds to do that technical analysis. And that could be the difference between, making some real money. So thank you for coming along with that little technical analysis journey there, because I just couldn't resist. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. I didn't really, you know what it is? And this is something I'm going to ask you. For me, I'm so like, is it a donkey that has the blinders on like this? What is it, the donkey or the horse?
I think I feel like, is that a donkey? I don't know, dude. Is it a horse or a donkey? I don't know.
It's one of those animals. They got to keep the blinders on, because if they don't, then they go like this. But that's how I am in the market. It's like right now, I'm going to read a list to you. The only thing that I focus on is, in terms of day trading, is Bitcoin, NAS 100. And NAS 100 I've been just watching recently. I haven't really been investing too much. And Euro USD, that's it. Outside of that, I have no idea what trade setups are good or what's going on. I check in and I see what's happening, but not as often as those three. So I'm curious, what instruments are you trading the most? Like, where do you spend most of your time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely currencies, right? Like the British pound, the euro, dollar, yen sometimes, and sometimes gold for my active trading.
Okay.
I'm not trading any Bitcoin at the moment. I have my core portfolio there, and that's kind of it. So I would say it's currencies, dude. That's what I'm actively trading, and sometimes we'll take currency positions to hedge crypto positions, right?
Yes.
So like, I'll do analysis on things I don't necessarily trade. For example, I'll look at the bonds, I'll look at yields, bond yields, sorry. I'll look at the DXY, I'll look at some commodities just to get a feel of the market. And then when you understand how those commodities or the bonds relate to certain currency pairs or certain stocks, then you could layer some fundamentals onto your study and see how valid it is or how valid it isn't, right? But I think the key is to start piecing things together that the other market participant doesn't see, right? It's a very, investing is like it's a team sport, but it's also kind of very not controversial, but zero sum. Like, there's a guy trying to sell you something and you're buying it, and then you're going to sell it to someone else. So there's a buyer and a seller.
Yeah.
Right. And the guy selling you the stock thinks he's smart, and you think you're smart for buying it. Right. So both people think they're smart in the transaction. Who's smarter? And that's the fun of it. That's the journey. That's if you can be light about it and not take it too seriously, right? It's like,
you're bringing this into a very good space, because I was going to ask you this, and I think, to me, this is one of the most fundamental things every trader has to kind of come to terms with. And I know that this is something that I had to come to terms with. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. What do you feel about the fact that for you to win, somebody else is losing? How does that sit with you? Is that a good thing? Is it neutral? Is it a bad thing? Is it just part of the game? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think I'm neutral. I think, listen, you don't want to be a trader, that's fine. You buy and hold. It's not really zero sum at that point. It's not an active trade. You're holding the thing long enough where real wealth is being built and kind of a bunch of people are winning. Okay. But when you're trying to do it for income, when you're trying to do it for short-term gains, the way to do that is by have an edge over the person that you bought or sold the thing to. Right. So I think I'm neutral. It's a game. You understand it's a game. And if you lose, you should just be able to accept that you lost because you entered this game willingly. And there's other ways to make money and to build businesses and to generate income, right? So it's not like someone put a gun to your head and said, hey, you have to trade,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it's good. I think it's good. I'm neutral. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think, people had to be in there. If they were forced, that's a different story.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. I feel like that kind of helped me readjust slightly. Like I felt that way more or less, but there was still like a little part of me that was like, man, like, cause I'm so, I'm highly sensitive and I'm empathic. And so sometimes I feel like, it's a very subconscious part, but sometimes I feel like, man, like I just won, which means that somebody just lost. And when I lost, I'm like, oh, that's the feeling that they have right now. It's like, like I couldn't even enjoy the win.
I know.
I'm getting better. Sorry?
Well, it's just, you can't enjoy the win because it's like, yeah, you won, but so what? There's the next trade. You're only as good as your last trade. You're gonna do it again, and then you're gonna do it again, and it's, you know what I mean? So it's like I think it's good to be neutral, even if you win. Right? Like it's just another day in the office, son. Like it's just another day in the office, right? Like, and that neutrality is just, I think, gonna make you better, like a better decision maker. When your emotions are flat, you make better decisions than when you're overly excited or overly upset.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact. So
yeah, no, you're 100%. These are like the tenets of trading. Like there cannot be emotions. Like these are the rules, right? These are the what do you call it? Rule of thumb. There's just so many
commandments, principles. Call them principles, right? Like principles that scholars and science will back up and agree and say, yeah, like that's true. Just principles and things that have been studied and tested.
Yeah, but you took it to a whole new space when you said that, because now it's like, for me, I have a new imagery of, okay, it's almost like a secret society. Everybody that's coming into this trading game is coming in with the understanding that these are the rules. You understand the rules. And regardless of what happens, you understand that whatever you come in with is okay to be lost. And that's it. Like I resonate with that in a big way. I do. So thanks for that, man. I appreciate that.
Cheers, man. Cheers. That's what these conversations are for, right? To hear things in a different way or to get something, whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
And listen, that's investing, that's finance. That's what's really cool about it. It's ever evolving, right? It's a game that's going to continue to go on and
evolve.
It's fun and evolve, and it's fun, and it's good for everybody. Finance has made, as much as people want to hate on, like I make fun of stuff all the time, don't get me wrong, right? Like I'll make fun of the Fed and monetary policy and governments, and I'll make fun of them. I'm not an anarchist, but I'll poke fun at stuff, okay? Like I don't care. But at the end of the day, all these advancements in money have given us what we have. Could we be further ahead if other stuff happened? Maybe. But at the end of the day, we are where we're at now because of largely because of money, because of monetary policy. Like if you look at when the Intel microchips were invented, it was around the time where they got rid of the gold standard. It's around that same time. And what did microchips allow us to do? It allowed us to bring prices down of other things. We got to amalgamate stuff. What enabled that? Maybe the monetary policy. Who knows, right? I'm pointing, but it's just coincidences, right? We can look at history. Every time, because of finance, civilization was able to move forward and create new technology. And it's been 50 years since that's happened. And now we have Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's kind of making the airwaves and getting a lot of attention.
Well, you just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, first, I agree with that 100%. And I think we're, as an economy, we're only as good as our monetary policy and our currency. And so what do you think is the best case scenario? Let's assume, because right now, fiat currency is a very specific thing. And cryptocurrency is not that thing. It's something completely different. So what do you think if we were to make that transition from fiat to crypto? What trickle down effects do you think that will have on our economy?
Hmm. Well, I'm not fully convinced if the transition to Bitcoin will eliminate fiat. That's the thing. I think it's going to work in conjunction together.
Okay.
Okay. So with that said, what was your question? With that said, what was your question? Tell me your question one more time.
Like what do you think that kind of answers it, because if you think that fiat's not going anywhere, cryptocurrency and fiat are going to be like distant cousins, then
exactly.
then maybe there won't be much change in our economy, right? So I was wondering, would there be any change? But when you put it that way, I can't conceive of any change. But this is the thing: we have countries like China coming up with their digital currency. So it's like, will we always have some form of fiat? Like, is there any way out of the fiat fiasco?
Oh my God, how do we get out of the fiat fiasco? I just don't see it. Like, I don't see it anytime soon, man. Like, could it happen? Absolutely. Right? Absolutely, it's possible. Is it probable that it's going to happen? Like, the world would have to change. Like, so many laws would be rewritten, dude. Like, the whole world would look drastically different. I can't picture what that world would look like right now. Okay. But I think what's most probable is that they're going to work in conjunction. We'll have government money to pay for things like rent, your mortgage, like things that are utilities, right? Like, you'll have that kind of stuff. And then maybe you'll have like crypto and other digital tokens to do stuff online that is more maybe entrepreneurial or creative or whatever, e-commerce, NFTs, right? So you have these two different economies, and the government money is to pay for government kind of shit, your shelter, your heating, your cell phone, like the necessities, and then the digitals maybe for luxuries. I don't know, right? Like, I'm speculating. But to keep it short, I just don't see Bitcoin overtaking fiat and all of a sudden there being no fiat. I just don't see that anytime soon.
Well, this is something that I probably could do more research into, because I kind of see what you're getting at now. I used to think that it was definitely possible, but I've been having a few conversations, and people are starting to give me a different perspective on what it would look like to have a fiat crypto world or duality. And so I'm thinking, like, if that were to happen, I'm trying to phrase the question. It's such a big question.
So like if we got onto a Bitcoin standard, what would happen?
Like, the thing is that, okay, now that you bring up this alternative perspective, it's almost like impossible. Like, we can't be on a Bitcoin only standard, because it would break the system. It would break the system. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of a way that transition could happen without completely breaking the system and creating absolute anarchy.
Exactly. Like, dude, a lot of people don't understand cryptocurrency. Like, a lot, right? Like, okay, you talk to people our age or people in our social circles, maybe people have some idea, or you have one guy or two girls who know a lot. But for the most part, like, people who are 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, that's a large chunk of the world. Like, they have no clue. Yeah. It would be so hard to just, like, we got to wait till we're old, I think, when you and I are the 70 and the 80 and the 90-year-olds, maybe then, you get what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, we've been with the thing for so long, and it's not like this like maybe then, but I don't know. Yeah, like, a lot of things would change. A lot of things would have to change if we had like some Bitcoin standard.
Well, what would even, and this is why I kind of am leaning towards your currency, cryptocurrency fiat strategy or concept, because what would give Bitcoin value without currency?
Exactly.
Like, that's
exactly.
I don't know.
Like, everything would have to be denominated in that thing. And now it's like you have the whole world on this one currency, this one digital currency. But how would it play out?
That would be crazy. Oh my
Yeah.
God, like that would be madness. I think that would literally be, people running through the streets, like storefronts on fire.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
oh yeah,
mean?
yeah, oh yeah, oh
Because
yeah, dude.
especially because Bitcoin is a limited supply. ETH is also a limited supply, I believe, right? ETH
It
is
is,
ETH is
it
capped.
is, yeah. I think the supply is capped and they
So it's
burn
like
stuff, but it could also be created as well, I believe.
I think they coded it in so that they could uncap it. I believe. I got to do
Yeah,
research on that too. But I mean, yeah, to me it's like trading one sense of currency for another. Then at that point, and one set of dictators for another. Can you imagine being the owner of Ethereum and having like 1 million Ethereum and then being able to set the value on Ethereum for the world? Like that's madness.
too much
Um,
power, too much power. And that's why
too
I'm
much
more
power for
long.
one
That's why I'm
person.
more long Bitcoin than anything else. Is for that, for the one reason that it is the truly decentralized cryptocurrency. And the China news that we saw over, I hate when I say China, I just mean it's the news that came from China. Okay, I'm not. I love Chinese people. They they play good golf. They after there was a lot of the mining was concentrated in China, so the worry was okay, like Bitcoin's not decentralized. Actually,
Mhm.
China owns it. It's a China coin, right? They're trying to dethrone the U.S. dollar. Well, what happened? China banned it, and now the Bitcoin mining's picking up more in the Western world now, right? And it's creating vibrant economies for the regions that are accepting it, and kind of proving its versatility, proving how decentralized it is. Like if China can't take it down, very hard for any other one country to take it down. You know what I mean? Because given how
Dare
impactful
I
China
say
is.
impossible? I mean, like who? To me, the most formidable. I don't want to say opponent because that sounds like we're playing a video game, but the most formidable opponent that North America has is China. Let's just be real. If China cannot take it down, nobody else is going to have the resources or the manpower to take it down. Period. So that is a good thing. I actually didn't really think about that too much, but I think partly why I didn't think about that is because it's also a potential that um, there's a lot of things happening in the shadow world.
Yep.
It's possible that China could be controlling it from the shadow still, and just not doing anything on the public forum. But at the
But
end
you
of the
can't.
day,
But Jordan, you can't in Bitcoin. You can see everyone who's contributing to that network. There's no shadow hash rates, right?
mm,
Like the hash rate, the mining activity, that's all public information for people who understand that information.
see, but because we have fiat still, right? Let's say like this is how subsidiaries work. This is how these large conglomerates get away with murder. But
Yeah,
imagine I'm in Holland and I have
yes,
a multi-million-dollar company, and I have Chinese partners, right, who are invested in my company, who I
yes,
can I can pay out at any point for whatever reason.
yeah.
Technically, I could be mining or holding Bitcoin for a Chinese subsidiary and be paying out in fiat if I wanted to. So that's what I mean. There's so many ways that you can work around
Yes,
something to not be visible on
yes,
the. You know what I mean?
yes. Okay, in that regard, yeah. Can Chinese people get behind other mining facilities in different parts of the world and have control of them? 100%. But that just tells me that that's the entrepreneur. I don't know. Like that for me is like the good underground of China. Like to me, that's the
Mm.
smart. You get what I mean? Like not the CCP doing that. It's like
Yeah,
the
exactly,
count
exactly,
the
exactly.
the rich families that were counterparties to the CCP that are also in China and also are very influential on the down low. Like
Yeah,
so. Yeah, I get it. Like yeah,
you're
you
right.
could
That
do that,
that
but
would be a good thing.
yeah, what is it?
Yeah, that would be a good thing, especially too because that would mean that Chinese dollars would be outsourced as well. If they're not doing it in their own country, that's actually a win-win.
Yeah, it is. It is a win-win, man. Like a lot
All
of this
right.
Bitcoin, a lot of this long-term investing is win-win.
All right. I wanna start landing the plane a little bit. And I want to ask a little bit more of a light question. Like, what do you do for fun? Like, what do you do for fun? Like, what excites you outside of staring at charts? Because I know charts are exciting, but when you close the screen, what do you do? Like, what's fun for you?
What's fun, dude? I'm very simple, man. Like, to be honest, what's fun for me is learning or reading, or like I like languages. Like I'm on Duolingo quite a bit. I try to learn. My girlfriend's Russian, so I like learning the language to talk, communicate, right? So I like spending time learning languages. I speak decent amount of French, decent amount of Spanish, decent amount of Russian now. You know, I can say some things in Mandarin. Like make Chinese people laugh. Like, what the fuck? Right? I can. I don't know. So I like that, and like outdoorsy stuff now. I used to be more into like the nightlife and the club life. Now it's more like, okay, me and my girlfriend will go like for canoe rides or hikes or go eat at different places. Very simple stuff, man. I don't have like any crazy hobbies that require a lot of resources or are really cool, to be honest, man. Like I like simplicity. And if we're gonna do something fun, I do like a little bit extreme stuff, right? So like, if we're gonna go
Have you done
like
skydiving?
I haven't. And I say I like extreme stuff, but like done scuba diving and spear fishing, snorkeling, stuff like that. I haven't done skydiving, it's on the bucket list.
Scuba diving is pretty extreme too, especially for people who have a fear of water. Like I used to kind of have that. I've been working through it, but I would like to do the scuba thing. With the scuba thing, do you stay close to the boat at all times, or like?
When I did it, yes, because I'm an amateur, so we had to, and we can't go too deep. So yeah, it was really close. I'm not like a avid scuba diver, but I'm just thinking of the activities I've done that I've enjoyed, and skiing, stuff like that, like sports that are kind of just you. And like I picked up golf this year. I never played golf, right? My dad never took me golfing. I'm not like a golfer, right? But these sports that it's just you, like golf, scuba diving, cycling, hiking, reading. To be honest, I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because those are all solo sports, just like trading. Trading is a solo sport.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
a little too self-sufficient, I think I am. That's a problem.
hey, you have a girlfriend, which means that you have access. That's good, man. That's a start. That's something.
Yeah, for
But I
sure.
was gonna ask how because I'm trying to learn Spanish right now too. How good is Duolingo?
It's really good. The gamification on Duolingo is awesome. Like you got to pay for the subscription, I think, to really get the value from Duolingo. But
Yeah.
you will learn how to like speak enough Spanish to go travel to South America if you focus for 3 months on Duolingo. Like
Get out of here.
yeah, no,
Okay.
seriously.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Thank you.
focus on Duolingo for 3 months, you can go to South America and get by and ask for what you need, and order for your food, say hello, say goodnight, taxi, where's the airport, all the stuff you need to get around your environment, you will learn in 3 months.
Amazing.
Right?
That's
So
all I really want to know, to be honest, to start. Just enough conversational stuff to say to not get lost and die.
yeah, yeah. Like that will just amplify your travel experience, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When you know the language. So.
Okay, let me ask you one more question before I ask you the final question. No coronavirus. Where would you like? No expenses. Like you don't got to worry about expenses. You have an infinite expense. Where are you going to first?
Oh wow, my mind went right to Thailand, like Bangkok. Like I'm thinking tropical beach, quiet, but yet close to like Amazon. You could do like outdoorsy stuff. Yeah, cheap beer and good food. So I say Thailand, and I've never been to Thailand. I've been to Vietnam, but not Thailand.
Thailand is gorgeous, man. Thailand is gorgeous. I've never been myself, but that's one of my secret destinations that I want to go to too. And so I've just seen photos of the place and videos, and it's like Jamaica, man. These places are literal paradises. Once you look past the scarcity and the poverty. But you know, it's
but I
funny
mean that's
because
gonna change. But
I was just
tell me.
no, you
No,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go.
Ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I think that may be changing this poverty and stuff and scarcity in some of these countries where now expats or people from Western countries can go there and contribute to the economy in different ways and hopefully make it better. You know, money creates safety or security at least, right? It doesn't create justice, for example. It'll create security for the people that live there. And I think, you know, with the advent of digitization, like more people moving around and living in these places where otherwise people just wouldn't live, will ultimately be good for crime rates.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring that up. I'm gonna kind of dial it back to our conversation because I feel like cryptocurrency is helping underdeveloped countries rise out of poverty because they're getting opportunities to make money that they just never had before because their local currency is absolute in the water, and if they can get paid in ADA or ETH, like that's a big deal, man. That's huge. Yeah.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah. It's like, we can't even conceptualize how much that's going to change the world. Like we could be looking at potentially ending, you know, poverty, like the beginning, like we can start looking at maybe this is actually possible.
Yes, dude, that's what technology is supposed to do. Technology is supposed to increase living standards. Right. So we just got to get that is the direction we're heading. And for sure, cryptocurrency is 50th year anniversary was just recently, it just happened for the gold standard. A wave of massive innovation and production happened since then. Let's see what happens in the next 50 years. For sure, it's going to get better, man.
Crazy. Okay. So I'm going to ask you the final question because if I don't, we're just going to keep this going beyond the hour. Actually, before that, is there anything that you have going on that you want to share, like projects, workshops, anything like that? Social media handles, you can share that now, and then I'll ask you the final question.
Yeah, you know, I have my Instagram that I'm just building, okay? And guys, I have a lot of content inside here that could be easily and creatively expressed. So that is Sergio__Montano. And I am creating a mastermind to become like a proficient do-it-yourself investor. And we're doing like a free trial group for 10 people. And all people have to pay with is their time. I'm building a prototype for this like mastermind type course. And if anyone's like really serious about upping their financial game and they don't want to like commit too much money or any money, I think this is an opportunity for those people. I have over 10 years of experience in markets, in financial services, like as a whole. And, you know, it's just stuff I wish people taught me when I first started, right? So instead of swing trading AMD and Tesla, I just bought and hold, you know, like but there's a lot of noise out there, dude. And when people go on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, there's just a lot of noise. And it's hard to focus on what matters, right? And that's the problem with a lot of the education out there. It's a lot of noisy education, points people go in all these different directions. And I think there's something to be said about focus and like sticking to time-tested principles backed by studies and science and other professionals, you know? So yeah, I'll leave that with your audience and with you. It's an opportunity there.
I don't know if it's open to me, but I would love to be a part of that. That sounds absolutely incredible and up my alley. But that being said, the last question is this. I'm going to ask it in multiple ways so that you can get a feel of what it is and how to answer it. So the question is, what is infinity? How do you experience infinity? What do you think infinity is? How do you think infinity is expressed in everyday life? What is infinity? You can answer any of those or a combination of those questions.
And obviously we didn't prepare for this podcast. This is just like, hey, like this is this is live, this is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. I think infinity for me is it's everything and nothing. It's being in flow. It's being whole and complete. It's being up for the moment and up for the possibility of whatever it is that you can think of or you can create or you can fathom.